Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today is Fun Stuff Friday and we have a bit of fun stuff to play with. These have been sent to me from Afmat to review and to use and see how I like them. This is the Afmat Pencil Sharpener and I forgot to grab the box. That was silly of me. I've been testing it a little bit. This is the heavy duty pencil sharpener, and it is for sharpening 6.5 to 8.5 millimeter pencils. It has an auto stop. It is a very fast sharpen, and it has a durable helix blade, a large shaving box. It says do not push too hard when you put the pencil into the hole or the machine will make a hum noise and not work. If the sharpener is overheated, unplug the sharpener and allow it to cool for 30 minutes. For added safety, the machine will not work when the shaving box is removed. So that is the information that's on the box. As you can see, there is the sharpener and the box. Now, here's the front of the sharpener. So it's got quite a large hole there, which is pretty good. I haven't tried putting any of my really large pencils in there. So let's grab one of those because I have some really big ones. And we'll see if it'll fit. It does not. So my really big pencils will not fit in there. Let's try one of the Felissimos, because the Felissimos are a medium-sized pencil, but they're a square. So I want to see if it'll do a square pencil. It will not. So it won't do the Felissimos or my really chunky pencils. So for my larger pencils, that's kind of not going to work for me. So I've got some pencils here that I typically use when sharpening pencils, when I'm testing a sharpener. So we will go through and we will sharpen these and we'll test the tip and see how long it takes to sharpen to that, as well as whether or not the sharpener will eat an entire pencil or not. So we will test that. So that one is the Afmat Powerful Superpower Heavy Duty Pencil Sharpener. It does say on the information packet that comes with it that this is not made for soft pencils. So if you have a really soft pencil, do not use this sharpener. Get a different sharpener. There is a couple of things I'm going to talk about while we're doing the information on the Afmat sharpener, and we will go through that when we get to that point. The other thing that they sent me is an electric eraser. It's rechargeable, and it has a protective cover as well as two different thicknesses of eraser. So I'm just going to open this and pull out the... So this is what it comes with. It comes with the brush to brush away your sharpened bits, as well as a USB cord to charge with. It also comes with a baggie of small erasers and the holders for them to go into the sharpener, as well as a baggie full of a larger eraser and the nibs that hold them into the eraser. Now this is an eraser that I have seen a lot of other people use. I do have one similar to it, but and I wanted to compare and see if they were exactly the same or not. So these are the two sharpeners I have. They look almost identical. They have the same USB, the same power thing, the same buttons, as well as the same caps that cover them. They're the same shape and everything else. So I'm not sure if, spending the extra money to get the Afmat mark is necessary, although the Afmats are very well priced, and they do seem to last longer, from what I understand, than the cheaper brands or the lesser known name brands. So let's take a look on Amazon and see what the cost of the sharpener is. Afmat electric pencil sharpener. So this sharpener on Amazon is $30.49. But it does have a $5 coupon. Actually, that's this one. Yeah, so it's $30.99 with the 30% off coupon. That's about $5. So not a bad price for the sharpener. Let's take a look at the eraser. Electric. All right, so the eraser is on sale right now for $16.99. And I do have it listed on my deals of the day. It's about 47% off, and you can get it in blue, black, and gray and white. And it also comes with 140 eraser refills. So there's 140 eraser refills here. So the price is right at that same price point as other electric sharpener or electric erasers of this type. They also have a slender one as well. That's a little more expensive, or a little cheaper. I mean, it's $11.79, but it's a thinner one. In comparison to, say, the Derwent pencil sharpener or pencil eraser, electric eraser, it's about $2 more expensive than the Derwent. There's so many different ones out there that you can definitely take a look around and see what fits your budget best. Right now, as far as I can see, the Afmat pencil eraser, the electric eraser, is so far the least expensive for this quality. But like I said, there are so many out there. I'm just scrolling through the electric erasers and it's like, wow, there are a lot there. I personally like the Afmat eraser. I think it holds in the hand very, very nicely and gives you control over what you're erasing very easily. So let's find something to erase. Let's see. All right, so we're going to take our coloring book here, and we'll look at the other coloring book here in a minute. So this was done with the Cretacolor chunky colored pencils. And you can easily erase all the way down to the paper without any damage to the paper, which is great, just by barely touching it onto the page. So this here was done with the Spectrum Noir pencils. So let's see how well it does with them, because they're a little bit waxier. And this hasn't been charged either. So this is just running off the charge that the factory sent it to me with. And it erased that very, very nicely. There's no, of course there's eraser dust, which we'll brush away here. And then I'll test and feel the paper and see if the paper is rough. And it's not. The paper is actually quite smooth. So it didn't tear up the paper at all. And this is Monique Day Wild's Winged Beauty, or Winged Daydreams. There we go. And the paper in here, although it's not horrible, is not extremely thick either. So it not lifting up that paper or peeling that paper at all is very good. So let's go over here and we'll just do a little bit harder. I'm just pressing down just a touch harder to see if I can get right down to the paper with the Cretacolor pencils. And I am able to get quite far down where there's no longer any color. There's a bit of a stain there, but it's not as deep as, say, this color here. All right, so that is the Afmat eraser. You will be seeing this more often in the streams because I will be using it for, as I need it for erasing things. I'm going to just put it back in its holder here so that I can move on to the next thing. So the next thing, of course, is the cutest of all, and we will test the sharpener here in just a moment as well. I forgot that I had ordered this. This is, of course, Gnome Sweet Gnome, and this was ordered back in November, December area. This is the Creative Haven Gnome Sweet Gnome coloring book by Teresa Goodridge. I'm just going to see if I can get you up a little so you can see the whole book. There. That's better. And it's just so cute. I love how Creative Haven has the colored pictures on the inside of the cover and the back page, the back cover. Now I've got a bit of a wrinkle in the first page here. Just a wee bit of a wrinkle in the page itself. Their pages are perforated, so they are very easy to take out. And this has a bit of a wrinkle in it too, but it's not too bad. And the pages are just so detailed and so adorable. Like, how cute is that? Little gnomes fishing. The gnome ice cream cart. Sprinkles. Everything has sprinkles. The Gnome Sweet Gnome is a boot. They're just so cute. Love the little car. It's just adorable. And little cup, and the books are just great. Gnome Tales, Bedtime. Little teddy bear with the gnome hat. Little lovebirds. They're so cute. And then Kiss the Cook. With the little herb garden with the gnomes in the garden. And Life is Better by the Campfire. Little gnomes at the campfire. One little gnome passed out in the tent. And then, of course, we have Party Time. I love their glasses. I just love the glasses. Oh, it's just so cute. Then we have a scuba gnome. Swimming around with his scuba gear. And then we have a Welcome Gnome. And the different little gnomes. The flower gnome, the mushroom gnome. the winter gnome, the spring gnome, Valentine's gnome, very cute. Just so adorable. Then we have our Christmassy gnomes. Merry Christmas. I love the fact that they have a gnome for the top of their tree. It's so cute. Then we have our skating rink gnomes. Gnomes on ice skates. And then, of course, we've got the circus or the carnival. So we've got cotton candy, snow cones, popcorn. We've got gnomes in teacups on the teacup ride. Yeah, definitely adorable. And then we have our autumn gnomes with all the harvest stuff. And then we have a reading gnome, the gnome in the reading nook. So it's got Mystery of Mushrooms, Secret Gardens, It's a Gnome's Life, Gnome Poets, and No Place Like Gnome. Tree hoses, grow your own. I just love that. And of course, these ones down here don't have any names. There are a few in there without names, so if you really wanted to, you could definitely add a couple of your own. And then we have our Valentine's Day gnomes. Then our artist gnome painting the mushrooms. And our laundry gnomes hanging out the wash. It's so cute. And of course we've got our beach bums hanging out on the beach in the water. It's just so cute. Making sandcastles. And then this one here is the one that's on the front cover here, which is Raindrops Are Falling Up on My Head. And then, of course, we've got our sleepy gnome relaxing in his lazy boy, reading a book, doing some crosswords, right at home. And then we have a hammock with, of course, all of the sunflowers and the farm in the background. And the summer gnomes with the watermelons. A lot of watermelon. Way too much watermelon stuff for me, but yeah, life is sweet. And we have a garden gnome trimming a hedge into what looks like a heart. Oh, yummy. So we've got honey and jam, tea, and of course some pie and cupcakes. Yummy. I love those kinds of pages. They're all gluten-free and I can play with them. And then we have, of course, our gardening gnome with her greenhouse. So we've got our green thumb gnome. Oh, that is just so cute. I love that little house. It's so adorable. Giving her flowers. Then we've got our farmer gnome. And another gnome in the garden. Looks like he's been a little overwhelmed with how many plants he has to put up on the shelf. And then, of course, another fully colored page of the Gnome Sweet Gnome. Now, that is the new book by Teresa Goodridge called Gnome Sweet Gnome, published by Creative Haven. Absolutely adorable. So, Teresa, fantastic book once again. Thank you so much for all the work that you do. You are a absolutely fantastic artist. All right, so that is Gnome Sweet Gnome. Now let's get back to our sharpener and take a look. So the first thing that I will note is that it is plugged in. It is got a very heavy duty plug. So you do have to find somewhere to plug it in. Now, I'm going to move this back so you can see the front of it. So this pencil isn't horribly sharp, but it's still sharp. So we're going to break that tip off and just get rid of that. So as you can see, there's no sharp tip there. Now, you have to hold the pencil, and it gives you a very long, sharp tip. Now, this problem here is not the fault of the pencil. If you don't hold it perfectly straight, it will sharpen that way. Now, as you saw, I can see how long that tip is and how sharp that point is. I can put it back in here. And as soon as I touch the back of the sharpener with it, it automatically stops, which is a good thing. However, it turns until you hit the back of the sharpener with that point. So if you don't push that pencil all the way in, it's just going to continue to sharpen that pencil, which is one of the issues that I don't like about it. Now that's a very, very sharp point, and I like sharp points, but I don't like how uneven that sharpened that. So I'm going to take one that, I'm going to find one that has a fairly even amount of wood around it, and make sure it's the sharpener, not the pencils. So I'm going to make sure this goes in very, very straight. So as you can see, it sharpened it fairly straight. So that may have been a problem with the pencil. I don't know. But as you can see, it sharpened it very, very long, gave us a very long point and a very, very sharp point. Now we're going to try that again, and we're going to see this one here, it sharpened funky. So I'm going to break the tip here carefully. And then I'm going to put it back on the pencil. Didn't break down as far as I wanted it to, so I'm going to put it back in here. And as you can see, it pulls that wood back quite a ways as well. So if you want to use this for a short sharpen of your pencil, you won't be able to. So that is the point that you're going to get. And I do see that there is some smudging happening on the pencil itself. Now I'm going to try to break this. Okay, so this is broken off in there now. So it still works with a broken tip in there. Okay. So that is the sharpened tip you're going to get from this pencil. I'm going to switch you over to the close-up camera so you can see a little better. It gives a very, very, very long sharpened tip. So we're going to grab a couple more of these. There's a couple of problems that I have with the sharpener itself. So as you can see, this has a fairly good sharp point. It's not extremely sharp, but it's not really, really, really dull. So I'm just going to see if I can get it to pop off, but hold the sharpen point. So I've broken that. Now we're going to put it back into the sharpener with that broken point. Now that broken point is stuck in that sharpener. Now here's the issue. So I've got that broken part in the sharpener, and I'm not getting a sharp point on my pencil. So now we have to unjam it. We have to get that sharp point out of there. So the bin itself is quite large, so you're not going to be emptying it often. Well, not as often as others. Now, here's one of my issues with this pencil sharpener. So you know we've got our broken point in there. How do you get it out? There is literally very, very, very few ways to get things out of here. One of which is just poking and hoping that it'll come out through the nozzle here, or going in here and digging it out of here. But there is literally no way to get that pencil piece out of there without issues. So we're going to put the cup back in. Now this sharpener will not run without the cup in it. So let's take a look here. I don't have the cup in it, so we're going to put this in here, and as you can see, it doesn't even turn on. So we're going to put our cup back in. This little thing here on the end of your cup, if this breaks off, you will not be able to use your sharpener anymore, because this is what tells the sharpener that the cup is in place and it can sharpen again. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get that to spit that piece into the bin, and it's just not. This sharpener is now completely jammed, and I can't get it to unjam, which is an issue. Because if you're going to use this to sharpen your pencils and you can't get it to unjam, and you can't get it apart to get in there to unjam it, how are you supposed to use your sharpener? You know, to me that's a big issue, because I break pencils all the time. All right, so I'm going to use something a little bit wider here. I'm going to try to push it back out and see if we can get it out that way. But I shouldn't have to fiddle around trying to get the sharpener to give me back my pencil tip. You know, if you're going to make it inaccessible like this, you have to make it so that the pencil tips, if they break off, are easily removed. So I finally got it out by pushing it backwards and unjamming it. Now, it's a good thing that without this in there, it doesn't turn on. Otherwise, you're going to be constantly unplugging and replugging in your pencil sharpener so that you can sharpen a tip of the pencil. So another thing that I noticed with this pencil sharpener, and I told you a little bit about it at the start of the video, with the disclaimer on the box. So as you can see, it eats down quite a bit of the pencil. You know, that's only with 2 sharpens. So it's eaten down quite a bit of the pencil just with 2 sharpens. This point itself is really, really sharp. So let's see if it, shatters or breaks because it is too sharp, or if it digs into the paper, because that can happen as well, depending upon how hard you press on your pencils. So it does seem to still color just fine. And it's not snapping that tip off, which is great. I like a really good sharpen. I like a really good fine point on my pencils when I sharpen them. I'm a little bit concerned with the disclaimer of, if this starts to overheat, please unplug it. So I have sharpened 4 pencils a couple of different times. Now the bottom is starting to warm up. When I was first testing this and figuring out different things about it, I sharpened about a dozen pencils back to back to back. And when I picked up the sharpener, it was very, very hot. So be very careful of that. If you do find that you are going to be sharpening, say, 120 pencils to do a swatch chart, do it in sections. Give the sharpener some time to cool off before you continue on sharpening your pencils. I personally, overheating things scares me because, yeah, I've had horrible things happen with that. But it's when it was really hot underneath, it wasn't damaging the pencil, and it didn't seem to really affect it. And once I let it cool off, it was perfectly fine. My only issue was this area right under here, where the plate is, got very, very, very hot. So in order to clean this is another thing I wanted to talk to you about. So everyone knows that with colored pencils, there's a lot of debris that gets stuck to your blades. Now, normally what I would do is I would just go into my machine and dust it out with a brush and duster. This one, it's very difficult to do that. The opening isn't quite big enough to get a large brush in there. And to dust it out with a small brush, you have to get your hand in there as well as your brush and turn the blade to brush it off, instead of having the blade accessible from all sides at the same time. So cleaning this can be a little bit daunting. Like I said, it does hold a lot of shavings, but when you take out that cup, you have all this debris in there. That's going to come out as soon as you take out that cup. Now, as you can see up in there, it's very, very dirty. Well, it's not that dirty because I did go through and figure out how to clean it. But basically what I had to do to clean it is I had to take one of my fan brushes, go through and gently brush it all off. And the areas that I couldn't reach, I had to go through and turn it a little bit, brush it off, turn it a little bit more, brush it off, so that I could get all of that debris out of there. Now, you can do this easier by taking it apart, but I don't suggest that, only because I personally wouldn't do it myself because I would break it. So one of the things that the paperwork that comes with it does state is that this will not sharpen soft pencils very well. It will jam the sharpener. So try not to use this for things like, for example, Prismacolors, anything that has a heavy wax base that is going to jam up or stick to the blade of your sharpener. Another way that you can, of course, clean your blades is with a graphite pencil, because the graphite will clean off the colored pencil debris. All right, so we're going to take our graphite pencil here, and we're going to just run that through just to lift off any bits that I wasn't able to get off with my... And as you can see, the graphite pencil, it just sharpens it right up. With the regular pencils as well, it brings that wood back a little bit further than I like, but it does give that fantastic sharp point. So, for a sharpener, it is very heavy, it's very large, but it does do the job. It does give us that really, really sharp point that we need to get into those small little crevice areas. As an everyday sharpener, to just sharpen your pencil a little bit, I would not suggest this. Of course, you can vary how much you sharpen by how long you hold your pencil in there. So, for example, this one here, it's got a little bit of a sharpen on it, but it doesn't have a really good tip. So I'm just going to put that in. And I'm just going to pull it out every couple of seconds and see how far it goes in. Now, it's not getting that tight, really, really fine tip, but it is still getting a tip that will get into most areas. Your really, really fine tips like this, you're going to have to go all the way into the sharpener and hold it there until it stops sharpening. Now, one of the issues that I was going to inform of is you can't just put your pencil in and leave it. You have to hold the pencil. And if you don't push the pencil in and you just hold the pencil in place, it will keep going and going and going. It will not stop until you actually push the pencil all the way to the back of the sharpener. Now I'm gently turning the pencil as I'm holding it to see if I can get an even sharpen around the whole pencil. So with turning it, I was able to sharpen down that wood a little bit and keep that even sharpen all the way around the pencil. It still has that tight point, but the thing that worries me is the fact that I can put this back in here and still turn it. As long as I don't touch it all the way to the back, I can keep on removing bits of that pencil. Like so. So it will eat your pencils quite quickly if you don't go all the way in. So even with going all the way in, if I just pull it out slightly, it just continues. So it does have an auto stop in the back. However, when you start pulling it out, it turns back on. Now this one here, we're going to do the same thing. It's got a bit of a split in it. So I want to see if it's going to sharpen past that split or if it's going to tear the pencil. And it's starting to tear the pencil. So if you have any splits in your pencil, you may have an issue with it separating your pencils up. But you may also be able to sharpen past those and heat it up enough to recombine it. So like I said, you can continue to sharpen that even though it's got the sharp point on it, just by not pushing all the way to the end. If you push all the way to the end, it's going to stop, which is fine. However, as soon as you start bringing it out again, it starts to roll again. And I can continue to sharpen that just by putting it back in. Because I'm touching the all the way to the back now. And it's still going. So, another thing that I have noticed with today's sharpenings is that the helix blade, as it's cutting through the material, the softer material, it is leaving a bit of a groove. So if you are going to use your pencils like this for shading, do a test area first and make sure that you're not going to end up with a stuttering or a groove layering of the material on your page. So basically, if you're going to go like this and cover your page, do that on a spare page first so that you can eliminate any jumps or stutters caused by those grooves. I'm just going to grab a piece of paper here, hopefully one that doesn't have anything on it that I'm coloring. Of course, I don't have such a thing. All right. So I'm just going to use a old swatch chart. This is one that I've already redone. So if you go like this and there's grooves on there, you can end up with little jumps where it doesn't lay down anything. And that can be an issue. Like that. So as you can see, I have to tip it this way, which is going to break the pencil, in order to get all the grooves flattened down so that I can use it as a shader. And I still have an area that's not quite smooth. But you can basically just smooth that right out just by going on the side like this and just turning the pencil as you go. It then removes all of those little grooves. It doesn't take a lot. You don't have to do an entire page or anything to lift those grooves up. If they bother you, if you find that you don't have any issues with it, don't worry about it. If you find that you have some issues with it, just do this on a spare sheet of paper and just lift it up. So with the fine point that this sharpener gives, you can of course get a really, really fine line with your pencil. And then you can also fill in with the side of your pencil quite a bit as well. just by using the edge of the pencil. Now these pencils themselves are not all that great. They're not centered, and they do have a tendency to sharpen with a very deep divot on the sides. Again, you can try to eliminate this by making sure that your pencil is completely centered in the sharpener. If you do find that you have an area that is sharpening deeper than the other area, put it back in your sharpener and just tip it up a little bit so that it's getting to the other side. Like that. So, my thoughts on the Afmat sharpener. See, right now it's very hot. The entire back of it and the top of it is very, very hot. And that worries me. Like, I haven't sharpened very many pencils here, and I have given it time between. And that's caused by the little motor that's in here and the fact that it constantly runs if you don't press your pencil all the way to the very end. So you could be sitting there and not thinking about it or not realizing that you haven't pressed it all the way to the end, and it will just continue to run like this. The fact that you do need to hold your pencil in there instead of just pop it in, pop it out, is another thing that, like I said, it does a fantastic job for a long, sharp point. Absolutely fantastic job for that. It does it very, very quickly. So unless you're not thinking or you're concentrating on something else, you should be able to, just pop this in. Let's see, I'm just going to break this down to completely broken pencil here. So that's very broken. So we're going to put this in for 3 seconds. So ready? 1, 2, 3. So 3 seconds, it gave me a fairly sharp point. Well, a very sharp point. So it only takes about 3 seconds to get to that point. So as long as you just, in your brain, just say, there, I'm done. You don't have to sit there. Let's grab a different one. Let's grab one that I haven't done a lot of sharpening on. I think this one's not too bad. Well, we'll break Melody up here. All right, so it has gone in. That break went in very, very deep. So I'm going to hold it in there for 3 seconds with a deep break, and we'll see how sharp it gets. 1, 2, 3. And it's not completely sharp, which I didn't expect it to be completely sharp because of the deep break. So 4, 5, 6. So even with 6 seconds, it didn't give me an extremely sharp point. It did not sharpen the tip. It sharpened the sides. Now it's sharp to the tip. So if you have a break that goes down below the wood, I would suggest just pushing it in for about 5 or 6 seconds and, check on it. If you push it all the way to the back to start with, so let's do this. Again, broken down to below the wood. And I'm just going to hold this in place until it stops. So that was 4 seconds, holding it in place till it stopped. And it gave me the point. It sharpened fairly well all the way around. However, it did take the pencil down. But that could also be from breakage. So we're going to try that again. Let's use this one. And that broke quite a ways down. And 1, 2, 3. So yeah, about 3 seconds if you put pressure on it and push it in. So it takes about 3 seconds to sharpen the pencil. Definitely need to put the pressure on and push it all the way in. Don't just hold it in like this, because it will just keep on going. All right, so that is the Afmat sharpener. Again, it's very warm at this point. To the touch, it's very, very warm on the back of the machine as well as the bottom of the machine. So I'm going to actually unplug this because it is a little bit too hot for my liking. It does get the pencils to a very, very good sharp point. It takes about 3 seconds from full breakage. This one here I broke down below the wood and was able to get a good point all the way down without any issues. And I only held that in, I pushed it in all the way for about 3 seconds. And that was easily sharpened out. So the Afmat eraser works absolutely fantastic. The sharpener works wonderfully. There is nothing wrong with the mechanics of the sharpener. There's a couple of things that I worry about with the sharpener. First of all is, how do you clean it? And trying to get a piece of broken pencil out of the sharpener, which we all know happens. The sharpener will jam with a piece of broken pencil. We have to get it out. And this is not something that only happens once in a while. This is something that will happen. Getting that piece of pencil out of this sharpener is quite difficult. So you need to keep that in mind when making that choice on which sharpener to get. It is a very strong sharpener. It definitely sharpens the pencils very quickly and to a very good long point. Now I'm going to try one other. Let's try this one. So this is a Derwent blender, and I'm going to quickly plug that back in. The Derwent pencils are quite chunky. We all know that, they are a little bit of a fatter pencil than, say, the Starjoy Gold, which is a thinner pencil by far. So let's see if this will fit. So this actually fits in there better, and it sharpened up really, really well. It actually fits in the hole better, where you don't have to hold it completely centered. It actually will center itself because of the width of the pencil. So it seems that the wider the pencil, the better this will hold. So it will hold up to a Derwent at least. The Caran d'Ache I think are about the same width as the Derwent. So I would say that it would hold the Caran d'Ache as well. I really don't want to sharpen one of my Caran d'Aches with it. Personally, I don't want to sharpen a pencil, an expensive pencil with it, because I really don't usually put extremely long points on my expensive pencils. I usually use a cheaper pencil with my expensive pencils for those detail areas where I want a very, very sharp point on it. Or I'll use a hand sharpener that I can just do a couple of turns and get a sharp point, where I have more control over how much that pencil is being cut down into the sharpener. So, does it work? Absolutely. Is it one that I would suggest and endorse? The Afmat brand, yes. I love the Afmat brand. Their pencil sharpeners are very, very nice. Um, it does what it's supposed to do. You know, I'm not saying that this pencil sharpener will not work and does not work for sharpening pencils. It definitely does. Um, will it work for what I would use it for sharpening sharp points? Absolutely. Am I going to keep this on my desk because it's massive? It is very large. This pencil sharpener, let's see, I've got a ruler here on is 6 inches long, 3 inches wide. So the width from here to here is 3 inches. From here to here is 6 inches. And then it is another 4 inches tall. So it is a chunky, chunky pencil sharpener. The things that I don't like about it is it's difficult to get a broken piece out of the sharpener and clear a jam. So if a sharpened piece of pencil is stuck in there, removing that jammed piece of pencil is difficult. The cup itself holds a lot of shavings. As you can see here, you'll get a lot of shavings in there. However, when you take this cup out, and say you've taken that cup out and you need to take a look in there and view something, you've got a lot of debris left in there that the cup did not pick up. All of that debris moves around in the sharpener while it's moving and can gum up the works. So this is the amount of debris that doesn't get taken into the sharpener, into the sharpener cup. So that is quite a bit of debris. And there's still some in there. That's my other issue, is cleaning this machine to ensure that your machine continues to work for you for a long time is a little bit more difficult than a typical machine where you just take off the lid, take off take out the sharpener, give it a cleaning. So for example, this one here, which is also a helix sharpener. In order to clean the sharpener, all you do is you take this out and clean the sharpener. You know, you don't have to undo any screws. You don't have to, go through and figure out how to dismantle your sharpener or how to get a little tiny brush in there to get it clean. So those are a couple of the issues that I have with the sharpener. And the reasons why I would not recommend it for a colored pencil artist. For somebody that's going to use it, and the fact that it does not like to sharpen really soft pencils, it will jam up. It actually outright states in their information that comes in the box that this pencil sharpener is not made for soft pencils. So don't use it for soft pencils. There are many other brands or many other sharpeners that the Afmat brand provides that you can use that are geared more for colored pencils or for those softer pencils. One of the ones that is the Afmat brand that they have, hold on a sec, is one like this one here, where the top comes off, like so. You empty it out. The cylinder itself comes out. There's a little tiny screw there. You pop out the cylinder and then you can clean the whole works. That is one of the styles that they have available. They have so many different ones available. just do your research. Take a look at the ones that are available. Read what they say. Um, I chose this one because it was one that I'd never seen used and that I've never used myself. When Afmat contacted me and asked me to, choose a couple of products to review, it caught my eye because it was a very, very, very sharp point on the pencil that you get, and it wasn't one that I'd ever seen used before. So I wanted to give a good, hearty review, giving all of the different aspects of it, good and bad. The great aspects of it is it does sharpen the pencil very, very, very quickly and very, very sharp, which is great. That's what the pencil sharpener is meant to do. The debris box is fantastic. It holds a lot of debris. Jamming is bound to happen sooner or later. It's difficult to unjam it from what I'm seeing. Just from my own experience, it's a little difficult to unjam. Cleaning is a little difficult for me as well. I can't see any other way to clean it other than to take the pot out, the debris pot, and take a brush and brush it out without taking it apart. It gets a little too hot for me. So what I mean by that is, okay, it's been unplugged for a couple of seconds here, almost a minute or two, and the bottom, like where the screws are here, the screws are still very hot. They're not burning hot to a point where it's going to scald me, but they're still really hot. When I first got this in and I was testing it and just playing around with it to see what I can and can't do with it, I picked this up and I put it on my hand like this and actually burnt my hand with these two screws. So be very, very careful of that. It will hold up to a Derwent size pencil. I'm not going to put my Caran d'Ache in there just because it's my Caran d'Ache. I'm just not going to do it. I have pencils that I use for testing sharpeners for a reason. These are the ones that I am using to test the sharpener are not a set of pencils that I am ever going to use beyond sharpening pencils with. So, does it cut the pencil? Yes. Does it give you a nice sharp point? Absolutely. Is there issues with sharpening the pencil itself and its auto stop? Kind of. If you push the pencil all the way in and make sure that you hit as deep in as you can in the pencil sharpener, it will pull the pencil further in and give it a sharp point, and the auto stop will connect as soon as the back of the sharp point of the pencil hits the back of the sharpener. However, if you don't push it all the way in and you just hold it and you're not pushed all the way into the sharpener, it will continue to turn. It will not stop until you push the pencil all the way in. So make sure that when you have your pencil in your hand that you don't just hold it here, because it'll just keep on going. Make sure that you push it all the way to the end to get that sharp point. All right, guys, with that is Fun Stuff Friday. As a colored pencil sharpener, I would not suggest this sharpener because of the fact that it does have some cleaning issues, it has some jamming issues, and it does state in the product itself, in the product's information, do not use this for soft core pencils. So as a colorist and as a person that uses all different types of colored pencils from hardcore to softcore, I don't think that the heavy duty pencil sharpener from Afmat is the best suited for that job. Not that there's anything wrong with the pencil sharpener itself. It does a beautiful job in sharpening pencils. Better suited to your graphite pencils, which are a little bit harder, or your, HB, 2B, those sorts of pencils sharpen very nicely in there and don't jam it up. The eraser does absolutely fantastic, as we expected. The Afmat eraser is one of the preferred brands and preferred styles of eraser in the coloring community that I know of. A lot of different YouTube artists and coloring artists use this brand. So as you can see, I'm just going to go over this area here, and it just lifts it all up and makes it go away. You can do that with the dark, you can do that with the medium tone here, and of course with the lighter tone. Now you're going to get a better pickup and a whiter sheet under a lighter tone than you are with a dark tone or a medium tone. So, but if you can lift off most of that, you can definitely go over it with another color and still get a clear area to color. It doesn't tear up the paper, and it leaves you with a nice white spot, which also works well if you're doing highlights. You can just put in little spots or little lines. So definitely works for that as well. And if you're really, really controlled, you can follow a line on your page and put a highlight all the way down that line. All right, guys, with that, I would like to say thank you all very much for watching. Of course, the Afmat products and the Afmat company did provide these Afmat products to me for review. This is not a paid promotion, and I will always do my promotion, my reviews with 100% honesty, good or bad. This is another thing that I had come in that I showed you today, of course, was Gnome Sweet Gnome, which is the new book by Teresa Goodridge from Creative Haven. Creative Haven is a publishing company that has been publishing Teresa Goodridge as well as several other artists' books for a very long time, and their paper is very nice, well perforated book, and of course absolutely adorable, and I would highly recommend it. All right, so the eraser I also recommend, definitely. The sharpener I would recommend if you are somebody that is more of a drawing artist instead of a colorist, where you're actually using your pencils to using a harder pencil such as a drawing pencil. As a colored pencil sharpener, I would not suggest it. And that's just my personal opinion. All of these things are my personal opinion. They are not paid for or bought by Afmat or Creative Haven. Again, Afmat did provide the products for this video, for the Afmat part of the video, and I have always stated in my videos that you will get 100% honesty from me, and I will tell you what I find good and bad about a product. All right, guys, with that, I thank you all very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the video, found it at least informative, and a little bit fun. Until next time, always remember to like, comment, and subscribe to any YouTube artist that you enjoy. And always remember to relax, color, and stay safe, everyone. Until next time, bye-bye for now.